You checked your balance this morning. Not because you needed to. Because you couldn't stop yourself. You opened the app. You saw the number. You felt something, relief, maybe. Or dread. You're not sure which. Then you tapped something else. A promotion. A rate offer. Something that required just a few more steps. You didn't choose to be there. You were moved there. And the difference between those two things is what this video is about. I'm Daniel Gray. I study the behavioral mechanics behind financial decisions. The invisible architecture that shapes what people do with money. Before they've had a chance to think. This is for people who consider themselves financially aware. People who read the fine print. People who believe they make deliberate choices. Because awareness isn't protection. Not when the environment is designed against you. Here's what the CFPB's lawsuit against Capital One revealed. The bank ran a product called 360 Savings. It was marketed as a high-yield account. At one point, it was competitive. Then rates rose. And Capital One quietly launched a new product with significantly higher rates. The old product stayed open. Existing customers kept their money there. They received no clear notification about the better option. Sitting inside the same bank, accessible through the same app. The CFPB's estimate, customers lost approximately $2 billion in potential interest. Not through fraud in the traditional sense. Through design. The app didn't lie. It simply didn't make the information easy to find. It buried the comparison. It didn't surface the better rate automatically. It relied on the fact that most people don't go looking for what they don't know exists. This isn't an isolated case. The FTC's investigations into fintech interface design have used a specific phrase repeatedly. Intentional interface manipulation. Not negligence. Not oversight. Intentional. The person who designed that interface knew exactly what they were doing. Let's talk about what happens in the brain when you're inside a banking app. You're usually not relaxed. You're checking something specific. You have limited time. Your attention is divided. Maybe you're at work, maybe you're waiting for something, maybe you're already anxious about what the number will say. Behavioral science calls this cognitive load. The mental bandwidth available for decision-making shrinks under stress. Time pressure, and distraction. When cognitive load is high, the brain defaults to shortcuts. It relies on what's visible, what's prominent, what's framed as the obvious next step. Interface designers know this. They've known it for years. Every color choice, every button placement, every default setting is be tested against real user behavior. The goal is not clarity. The goal is conversion. Whether that means a subscription renewal, a fee acceptance, an opt-in that looks like an opt-out. Or a product enrollment that seemed like account verification. The language used inside these systems is deliberate. Confirm instead of agree to charges. Continue instead of accept terms. Activate your benefits instead of start your paid subscription. These are not mistakes in translation. They are engineered friction in reverse. Friction added to the exit, friction removed from the purchase. Now put a number to it. The average American pays approximately $329 per year in bank fees. Overdraft fees, maintenance fees, out-of-network ATM fees, inactivity fees. Many of these are avoidable. Most people who pay them don't realize they have alternatives. Until after the charge appears. Overdraft fees alone generated approximately $7.7 billion in bank revenue in one recent year. Not from customers who couldn't pay. From customers who didn't know the charge was coming. Until it had already cleared. There's a specific behavioral pattern at work here. Researchers call it present bias. The tendency to heavily discount future consequences when an immediate action feels necessary or neutral. You tap continue. The charge comes 3 days later. The psychological connection between the action and the consequence is severed. That severance is not accidental. The system is designed so that by the time you feel the cost, you no longer remember the choice. You think this is about carelessness. About not reading closely enough. It isn't. This is about the asymmetry of expertise. The teams designing these interfaces are specialists. They have cognitive psychology backgrounds. They run hundreds of experiments per quarter. They have access to behavioral data that no individual user will ever see. They know, statistically, at what point in a sign-up flow a user stops reading. They know which button color produces the highest click-through rate under low attention. They know how long a user needs to be in the app before they become cognitively fatigued enough to accept a default. You are not fighting carelessness. You are fighting accumulated expertise deployed against your interests. The autonomy you feel, the sense that you are navigating the app, making choices, staying in control. That feeling is part of the design. Behavioral economists call it the illusion of agency. The interface offers you enough visible choice to feel like a participant, while channeling your behavior toward a predetermined outcome. This is not a conspiracy. It's an optimization problem. And you are the variable being optimized. A person in their mid-30s. Financially literate by most measures. Over 3 years, they've paid an average of $18 per month in fees they didn't consciously choose. At $18 per month over 3 years, $648. Not catastrophic. That's the point. It stays below the threshold of action. It stays below the threshold of anger. It disappears into the noise of a monthly statement with dozens of small transactions. You cannot outfocus a system that was built to absorb your focus. That is where most of the value extraction happens. Not in the fine print. In the shadow. Every year you remain inside a system designed to extract from you is a year of compounding in the wrong direction. When you open a banking app, you are not a consumer in a service relationship. You are a behavioral asset inside an optimization system. The interface is the product. You are the input. You stop asking, is this a good app, and start asking, what does this app's revenue model require from my behavior? You start treating every default setting as a company preference, not a neutral baseline. That reclassification doesn't require paranoia. It requires accuracy. The person who designed the interface you use isn't your adversary in any personal sense. They have performance metrics. They have quarterly targets. They have A/B test results that showed version B extracted more revenue per session. The decision was not made about you. It was made about users as a behavioral category. But you are a user. And now you've seen it. The system doesn't need you to be careless. It just needs you to be in motion.